Hard decisions today, success tomorrow. Why difficult choices shape long-term growth. Some of the most important decisions in life are rarely the easiest ones. Difficult choices often require individuals to give up immediate comfort, confront uncertainty, accept responsibility, or move beyond familiar situations. In the moment, these decisions may feel uncomfortable, risky, or even frightening. Yet many of the choices that eventually lead to personal growth, stronger leadership, and meaningful success begin with temporary difficulty. A hard decision may involve ending an unhealthy pattern, returning to education, changing direction professionally, setting stronger boundaries, managing money more responsibly, accepting a challenging opportunity, or choosing discipline over short-term convenience. What makes these decisions difficult is often not a lack of knowledge. It is the emotional cost attached to them. People may already know what needs to change, yet still hesitate because change can involve fear, uncertainty, sacrifice, or the possibility of failure. Long-term success therefore depends not only on intelligence or ambition, it also requires the ability to make decisions that support future goals, even when those decisions are uncomfortable today. This article explores why difficult choices are often necessary for growth, how emotions can influence decision-making, and how individuals can develop the courage, discipline, and perspective needed to make stronger, long-term decisions. Why difficult decisions matter. Every decision creates consequences. Some consequences are immediate, while others appear gradually over months or years. Easy decisions often prioritize short-term comfort. Difficult decisions frequently prioritize long-term benefit. For example, saving money may require reducing unnecessary spending today. Studying may require giving up leisure time. Improving health may require changing familiar routines. Professional development may require additional effort after a long working day. Leaving an unhealthy situation may require courage and uncertainty. Setting boundaries may temporarily disappoint other people. The difficulty of a decision does not automatically make it the correct decision. However, many meaningful goals require some form of temporary sacrifice. Short-term comfort versus long-term growth. Human beings naturally prefer comfort and certainty. When faced with a choice between something easy now and something beneficial later, the immediate option can feel more attractive. This is one reason why procrastination, overspending, unhealthy habits, and avoidance can become difficult patterns to change. Long-term thinking requires individuals to ask, what will this decision mean next week? What will it mean next year? What will it mean 5 years from now? This shift in perspective can change the way a choice is evaluated. A decision that feels difficult today may become valuable when viewed through the lens of future consequences. The emotional side of decision-making. Decision-making is not purely logical. Emotions influence how people evaluate risk, opportunity, and uncertainty. Fear may cause someone to avoid an opportunity. Anger may encourage an impulsive response. Guilt may make it difficult to establish boundaries. Excitement may encourage someone to ignore obvious risks. Emotional awareness, therefore, becomes an important part of decision-making. Before making an important choice, it can help to ask, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? Is this emotion helping me evaluate the situation clearly? Would I make the same decision if I felt calmer? Emotions should be acknowledged, but important decisions often benefit from reflection rather than immediate reaction. Fear of making the wrong choice. One reason people delay difficult decisions is fear of making a mistake. They may search for certainty before acting. However, complete certainty is rarely available. Most important choices involve some level of risk. A stronger approach is to gather the best available information, consider likely consequences, and make the most reasonable decision possible at that time. A decision can still be thoughtful, even if the final outcome is uncertain. The goal is not perfect prediction. It is responsible judgment. The cost of avoiding decisions. Avoiding a decision is itself a decision. Doing nothing may feel safer, but it can also create consequences. For example, avoiding a difficult conversation may allow conflict to increase. Ignoring financial problems may make them worse. Postponing professional development may limit future opportunities. Remaining in an unhealthy situation may increase emotional strain. Avoidance often creates temporary relief but greater long-term difficulty. Recognizing this can help individuals understand that postponing a decision does not remove the problem. Discipline and delayed gratification. Discipline involves choosing actions that support long-term goals, even when immediate motivation is low. This may include studying when tired, saving instead of spending, completing difficult work, maintaining healthy routines, practicing a new skill, avoiding unnecessary distractions, following through on commitments. Delayed gratification means accepting a smaller reward now in order to pursue a greater benefit later. This principle is closely connected with long-term success. Difficult decisions and leadership. Leadership often requires decisions that are not universally popular. A leader may need to set priorities, allocate limited resources, give constructive feedback, address poor performance, change an ineffective process, say no to an unrealistic request, make decisions during uncertainty, protect standards, balance competing interests. Trying to please everyone can prevent effective leadership. Strong leadership requires fairness, communication, and the courage to make responsible decisions even when they are uncomfortable. Values as a decision-making guide. Difficult decisions become easier when individuals understand their values. Values act as a reference point. Someone who values education may be more willing to invest time in learning. Someone who values financial stability may prioritize saving. Someone who values integrity may refuse an opportunity that conflicts with ethical principles. Someone who values well-being may establish stronger personal boundaries. When values are unclear, decisions can become dominated by immediate emotions or external pressure. Decision-making and self-respect. Self-respect sometimes requires difficult choices. It may require saying no. It may require leaving situations where respect is consistently absent. It may require refusing to participate in behavior that conflicts with personal values. It may require prioritizing long-term well-being over temporary approval. These decisions can feel uncomfortable because people often fear disappointing others. However, constantly ignoring personal boundaries can eventually create resentment and exhaustion. The importance of saying no. Saying no is one of the simplest examples of a difficult decision. Many people agree to requests because they fear appearing selfish, unhelpful, or difficult. Yet saying yes to everything can result in overcommitment, stress, reduced quality of work, loss of personal time, resentment, neglect of important priorities. A respectful no can protect time, energy, and existing responsibilities. Boundaries allow individuals to decide where their resources are most valuable. Career decisions. Professional growth often requires difficult choices. Someone may need to decide whether to apply for promotion, change jobs, return to education, accept greater responsibility, move into a new field, start a business, develop a new skill, leave a comfortable but limiting position. There is rarely a completely risk-free career decision. Good decisions require research, realistic assessment, and consideration of long-term objectives. Education as a long-term decision. Education frequently requires short-term sacrifice. Courses may require time, money, study, assignments, examinations, reduced leisure, persistence. The benefit may not appear immediately. However, knowledge and qualifications can create opportunities long after the original effort has ended. This is a clear example of choosing present difficulty for future possibility. Financial decisions. Financial stability is strongly influenced by repeated decisions. A single spending choice may seem insignificant, but habits accumulate. Strong financial decisions may involve creating a budget, saving consistently, reducing unnecessary debt, avoiding impulsive purchases, planning for future expenses, building emergency savings, living within realistic means. These decisions can feel restrictive in the short term. However, financial discipline can create greater freedom later. Health and lifestyle decisions. Long-term well-being also depends on repeated choices. Healthy decisions may include getting adequate sleep, maintaining appropriate physical activity, attending health checks, following professional medical advice, eating a balanced diet, managing stress, reducing harmful habits. These choices are not always convenient. However, consistent habits often matter more than occasional extreme efforts. Relationships and difficult choices. Relationships can involve particularly emotional decisions. People may need to decide when to have an honest conversation, set boundaries, forgive, create distance, ask for support, accept responsibility, and a harmful relationship. Because relationships involve emotion and attachment, decisions may become difficult to evaluate objectively. It can help to focus on patterns rather than isolated moments. Choosing growth over familiarity. Familiar situations can feel safe even when they are no longer beneficial. Growth often requires stepping into uncertainty. The new situation may involve different responsibilities, different people, new expectations, a learning curve, temporary discomfort, fear of failure. This does not mean every unfamiliar opportunity should be accepted. It means familiarity alone should not determine decisions. The role of reflection. Reflection improves decision-making. Before an important choice, consider: what is the real problem? What options do I have? What information am I missing? What are the likely consequences? What matters most to me? What would I advise someone else in the same situation? What am I avoiding because of fear? What decision would I respect myself for making? Writing down answers can create greater clarity. Separate facts from assumptions. Difficult decisions become harder when assumptions are treated as facts. For example, they will definitely reject me. I know this will fail. Everyone will judge me. I could never learn that. These statements may reflect fear rather than evidence. A useful approach is to separate what I know, what I believe, what I fear, what I still need to find out. This distinction can reduce unnecessary anxiety. Consider the worst realistic outcome. Fear often creates catastrophic thinking. Instead of asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" ask, "What is the worst realistic outcome? How likely is it? Could I recover from it? What could I do to reduce the risk?" This makes uncertainty more manageable. Many risks become less frightening when they are examined specifically rather than imagined vaguely. Consider the cost of success. People often think about what success will give them, It is equally important to consider what success may require. A major professional goal may require time, study, responsibility, consistency, sacrifice, learning, pressure, persistence, understanding. The cost of a goal helps individuals decide whether they genuinely want it. Success often has a price, even when that price is simply sustained effort. Accepting responsibility. Strong decision-making includes accepting responsibility for consequences. This does not mean blaming oneself for everything that happens. Outcomes can be influenced by circumstances outside personal control. Responsibility means acknowledging the role of one's own choices. If a decision produces an unexpected outcome, ask, what did I learn? What information did I miss? What should I change? What is the next decision? This prevents one mistake from becoming permanent defeat. Learning from poor decisions. Everyone makes poor decisions. Wisdom develops partly through recognizing them. A mistake becomes more valuable when it produces learning. Instead of repeatedly asking, why did I do that? Try asking, what will I do differently next time? This moves attention from regret to improvement. Decision fatigue. Making many decisions can become mentally exhausting. Decision fatigue may reduce judgment later in the day. One way to reduce unnecessary decisions is to create routines. For example, plan meals, schedule study times, prepare clothing in advance, create standard work processes, automate savings, use recurring reminders. Reducing trivial decisions can preserve mental energy for more important ones. Avoiding impulsive decisions. Some decisions require immediate action. Many do not. When emotions are intense, it may be wise to delay a major decision if circumstances allow. A useful rule might be, do not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Allow time to calm down, gather information, consider alternatives, then decide. Seeking advice without giving away responsibility. Advice can improve decisions. Experienced people may notice risks or possibilities that are difficult to see alone. However, advice should support judgment rather than replace it. Different people have different values, experiences, and priorities. Someone else's correct decision may not automatically be correct for you. Listen carefully, consider the advice, then take responsibility for the final choice. Decision-making under uncertainty. Some of life's most important decisions must be made without complete information. This requires adaptability. Make the strongest reasonable decision available, then monitor what happens. If circumstances change, adjust. Changing direction after receiving new information does not necessarily mean the original decision was wrong. It may simply mean the situation changed. Consistency after the decision-making. Making a difficult decision is only the beginning. Results often depend on what happens afterwards. A decision to study requires consistent study. A decision to save requires repeated financial discipline. A decision to improve health requires sustainable routines. A decision to develop professionally requires learning and practice. Success comes not simply from deciding. It comes from supporting the decision with action. Confidence through decision-making. Confidence grows when individuals prove to themselves that they can make choices and deal with the consequences. Indecision can weaken confidence because it creates a feeling of being controlled by circumstances. Even small decisions can strengthen personal agency. Choose, act, evaluate, learn, adjust. This creates evidence that uncertainty can be managed. Hard decisions and future identity. One useful question when facing a difficult choice is, what kind of person am I trying to become? Decisions gradually shape identity. Choosing to study reinforces the identity of a learner. Choosing discipline reinforces reliability. Choosing integrity reinforces character. Choosing healthy boundaries reinforces self-respect. Individual decisions may appear small, but repeated choices create patterns. Patterns eventually shape a life. My personal reflection. When I think about difficult decisions, I remind myself that immediate comfort is not always the best measure of whether a choice is right. Some decisions require patience before their value becomes visible. There are times when progress means choosing responsibility over convenience, learning over familiarity, and long-term goals over immediate satisfaction. I also recognize that I cannot predict every outcome. What I can do is prepare carefully, evaluate the information available to me, and make the strongest decision I can at that moment. When a decision does not produce the result I expected, I try to ask what it can teach me rather than allowing disappointment to become the end of the journey. For me, one of the most important principles is a difficult decision becomes meaningful when it is followed by consistent action. Thinking about change is not the same as changing. Planning is not the same as beginning. Wanting a different future is not enough if today's decisions continue creating the same results. This is why I believe that some of the most important investments we make in our future begin with choices that may feel uncomfortable in the present. A practical decision-making exercise. When facing an important decision, write down 5 questions. 1. What exactly am I deciding? Define the issue clearly. 2. What are my realistic options? Avoid thinking there are only 2 possibilities if alternatives exist. 3. What are the short-term consequences of each option? Consider what happens immediately. 4. What are the long-term consequences? Think beyond today. 5. Which option best reflects my values and future goals? This final question can help separate temporary comfort from meaningful progress. The 24-hour reflection rule. For major non-urgent decisions, consider giving yourself time before committing. Use the period to review facts, check assumptions, consider risks, seek appropriate advice, identify emotional influences, think about long-term consequences. A short period of reflection can prevent a temporary emotion from producing a permanent decision. Conclusion. Difficult decisions are an unavoidable part of personal and professional growth. Some choices require sacrifice. Some require courage. Some require patience. Some require accepting uncertainty. And some require leaving behind what is familiar in order to create space for something better. Success tomorrow is not guaranteed simply because a decision is difficult today. However, meaningful progress often depends on choosing actions that support long-term goals rather than immediate comfort. Strong decisions combine clear thinking, self-awareness, values, information, discipline, responsibility, reflection, action. The most important question is not always, what is easiest for me right now? Sometimes the stronger question is, which decision will my future self be grateful that I made today? The answer may not always be comfortable, but comfort and progress are not always the same thing. Choose wisely today. Act consistently. Build tomorrow. This article is the intellectual property of Mary Lourdes Bonnici, MBA, and may not be reproduced, distributed, or published without permission. Thank you for your support, and I hope you enjoy this lesson.